welcome to Hot Splices. I'm Paul Williston. I'm here with Ashley Strange and Michael Gunkowski. We're here at the Orfield Shankweiler's Drive-In in North Whitehall Township, Pennsylvania. Shankweiler's Drive-In is the oldest drive-in in America, and it was the second oldest ever built. We're going to talk about the fall movie season, starting off with Mother, directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Always interesting director. Always interesting. Who brought Noah, Requiem for a Dream, Pie. This film stars Jennifer Lawrence, who's currently dating, which is interesting as well. That's also a horror story in itself.
Yeah, I'm not usually up for horror stories, but I think that it can be very intriguing. And for some people, just hearing the word mother can be horrific in itself. So.
It also stars Javier Bardem, Ed Harris, and Michelle Pfeiffer. Next, we have Battle of the Sexes. Now, this is based on the true story of Bobby Riggs, played by Steve Carell, and Billie Jean King, played by Emma Stone. This is that epic 1973 tennis match, Battle of the Sexes, and where Bobby really, I mean, he was just terrible to Billie Jean King, and it made for a lot of box office.
Right, another amazing performance from Steve Carell. Looks just like Bobby Riggs, and Emma Stone looks really a lot like.
Yeah, and it's a battle. It's a battle that's still going on in professional tennis. You know, women are still being paid less than men and treated really terribly. So this should hopefully open up a lot of interesting stuff.
Look for a lot of Oscar nominations for Battle of the Sexes. Yeah. Next, we have Marshall with Chadwick Boseman starring as Thurgood Marshall, the NAACP then attorney who eventually became the first black justice of the Supreme Court. Yeah, that should be a really good one.
Looking forward to that.
And we also have Wonderstruck. Now, Wonderstruck stars none other than Oakes Fegley. He's from the Lehigh Valley. He was in Pete's Dragon. He's the son of the basically the Fegley family, who are the Barrymores of the Lehigh Valley, with the parents and all the kids acting and being involved with theater and movies.
Wonderstruck, and burgers. Fegley's Brewworks?
Well, they're related to the Fegley's Brewworks.
Right,
they are. Michael is related to the Fegleys of the Fegley Brewworks. Todd Haynes directs Wonderstruck.
Yeah, Todd Haynes, another controversial director, who did Carol, which was up for a lot of awards a couple of years ago with Kate Blanchett and Rooney Mara.
In addition to Oakes Fegley, Julianne Moore and Michelle Williams are in Wonderstruck. Then also opening in October is Suburbicon. George Clooney directs from a screenplay he co-wrote with the Coen brothers. Matt Damon, Julianne Moore, Oscar Isaac, and it's shall we say, a dark drama about a husband and wife and an insurance agent.
That's the dark drama part.
Is it supposed to be a comedy at all? Because I feel like most Coen things happen to be comedies, even though they're not.
Black comedy.
Yeah.
It's a black comedy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Very dark. This film looks very dark, though.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Very dark.
Very bloody.
Last Flag Flying, Richard Linklater's comic drama. It's a sequel to Hal Ashby's 1973 film, The Last Detail. This one is set in 2003, and it stars Bryan Cranston, Lawrence Fishburne, and Steve Carell as Navy veterans. Now, the earlier film is based on the novel by Darrell Ponson, who attended Muhlenberg College. He's a Muhlenberg College graduate, and he also wrote, in addition of The Last Detail, Cinderella Liberty. Next, we have Molly's Game, directed by Aaron Sorkin. That opens in November. That's based on a true story about the Olympic hopeful. It stars Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba. Also opening in November, Darkest Hour. Joe Wright directs Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. There seems to be a run on Winston Churchill films.
Yeah, I know.
Dark films. With films about darkness. It must be the eclipse that's kind of taking over everybody.
Right.
Oldman looks amazing in that film. The trailer's out now. Check it out. If he doesn't get an Oscar for this performance, he never will. I mean, he should have had an Oscar so many times. He played, Sid Vicious, Dracula, Beethoven. Everybody. Yeah. He's only been nominated once for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. And he looks and acts just like Winston Churchill. So finally, he might win an Oscar. Please, if the Academy of voters are listening, please vote for him come Oscar time.
But one film that does not seem to be going dark is Mary Magdalene.
Well, speaking of historic dramas, it opens around Thanksgiving, so it's Rooney Mara starring as Mary Magdalene and Joaquin Phoenix as Jesus.
As Jesus of Nazareth. And if I may, the biblical stories that take place in Egypt and are all starring white people have got to stop.
Yeah,
please.
I thought Joaquin Phoenix had quit films.
Well, yeah, also that. Like, we thought you were gone. Why is this the one you have to come back on?
Well,
that's odd.
It's there is the afterlife in cinema as well, evidently.
Well, let's get him there quickly.
Wonder Wheel, Woody Allen's latest film, opens in December. It stars Justin Timberlake, Kate Winslet, and it's set in Coney Islands of the 1950s. So Woody goes back to familiar turf.
Yeah, like Radio Days, that was set in Coney Island. Him growing up again, going back in his past and his youth growing up. Should be interesting.
The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro. I can never pronounce his first name. It
Guillermo.
Very good. It stars Sally Hawkins, and it's not only a fish out of water film, but it's a story about a half human, half fish. Downsizing. Alexander Payne directs this one, and it's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Movie stars. Here it's Matt Damon and Kristen Wiig, and they're basically downsizing.
Wow.
They're like little people.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting premise for a film.
The Current War, that also opens in December around Christmas time, and it's all about Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse competing to discover and to claim the discovery of electricity. Benedict Cumberbatch and Michael Shannon co-star in that
That's
film.
interesting. It's a great cast, great subject matter for a film that was never really put on film before.
Speaking of putting it on film before, we return to the days of Watergate, The Papers, based on the Pentagon Papers. Steven Spielberg directs, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep.
And there go all your Oscars. Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, and Meryl Streep. Good luck, everybody else.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
Well, there's the untitled Paul Anderson film, starring Daniel Day-Lewis in what we probably think is his last role. He's already
I was going to
announced
say,
his
I thought he
retirement.
quit too.
Well,
What is with these people?
He announced his
Quit or
retirement.
don't quit.
He announced his retirement in advance. He said,
They're like cats. Like, do you want in or do you want out?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm out.
He
No, I
said
want
this
in.
supposedly will be his last film.
All right.
And he won with Paul Thomas Anderson for There Will Be Blood. So they're obviously
yeah.
great collaborators
and
together.
speaking of blood, this one takes place in the 1950s era London fashion scene.
Daniel Day-Lewis and fashion are not two words I thought I would hear together, but there they are.
Well, that's our look forward at the fall and winter movie season here on Hot Splices with Paul Willestein, Ashley Strange, and Michael Kankowski. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
We hope you'll make this a weekly visit. Bring the family. Bring your friends. There are always wonderful new pictures to see, delightful snacks to nibble, a gay, pleasant evening for all.